But we are back, and we're excited, and we're live from the Hamptons till it's winter again. Peace.
They had a debate. Neither of them had ever used ChatGPT. Neither of them talked about AI. The single most important thing facing our country.
I know 30-years that never use ChatGPT.
But they're not running for president. They're not running for president. You can't be running for president and not understand AI. That's insane.
Top Shotters are back in full effect.
Hamptons, baby.
Hamptons edition. Live from the pool side of the one and only Mike Novogratz. Dave lives on the beach, though, so you know what I'm saying? It's kind of like a little flex.
Easy.
But we are back. We're excited. We're about to talk about our summer a little bit, talk about a lot of dope things with business we've been getting into. And I'm going to pass it off to my new co-star, David Messi.
Messy. Dave with the messy haircut.
Oh, man, it was getting hot out here. I had to clip it off. And
How you feel about being
get
back?
fresh.
We in the Hamptons.
I feel good, man. It was a nice break that we had. I think good to be back here. I mean, we're hanging out here and there, but it's good to spend some time and get back to it.
Opening ceremony of the Olympics today. Paris kicked ass. You guys didn't watch it. I watched it.
Rainy, huh?
Rained. But even with the rain, it was spectacular.
Was it?
Boats down the Seine, unbelievable light show, great performers. Lady Gaga.
Did she kill it?
On fire.
Question, right? I'm going to the Olympics, right? You're going. It's my fourth Olympics. You've seen at least 4 opening ceremonies. I'm saying either end. You know, what do you think about this one was different? Better, worse?
I
How
think
do you interpret it?
This is almost got you back to the Beijing, just spectacle.
Wait,
right?
Snoop Dogg was there, huh?
Snoop Dogg.
Shout out to Snoop.
Shout out to Snoop. He was a torchbearer. You know, it was very grand, right? They took boats down the Seine. They had amazing performers. They had the woman singing the French national anthem. She looked like, you know, their Lady Liberty, their version of it. You know, this amazing balloon with the torch.
Yep.
They went all out. You know, they did what Paris deserves.
Yeah.
You know, my wife was there in the rain. She said there was water in places that usually you only get in a shower. It rained and rained.
Yeah.
But you know what's interesting? The athletes were joyful. They didn't care about the rain. This was their moment. They were on the boats waving. You looked like Gilligan's Island, and these were going to get sunk. There was so much rain.
There's
and
something
no one
about
cares.
opening ceremonies that are so amazing. I mean, Mike and I walked in opening ceremonies in London, and it's like the energy, like it doesn't matter. It's not going to be ruined. Everybody is in the best mood ever.
How about this, though? How about South Sudan almost beating the U.S.?
Yeah.
That was crazy. Shout out to LeBron for pulling that together.
Yeah.
Shout out to the whole U.S. team. I knew y'all wasn't going to lose. I knew y'all wasn't going to let us down. And y'all probably just gave them a little run to make them feel good. But
How
what
about
a
Germany?
game.
Were they making Germany feel good too?
Yeah, we
'Cause didn't
just
they
made
beat
Germany
by
feel
4
good.
points or something?
You know what's crazy?
Huh.
You know what's the problem? Who should have been on that team?
Who?
Jalen Brunson.
Jalen.
Shout out
Shout out to
Jalen
Jalen
should have been on
Brunson.
that team.
Man, this whole thing could be the Brunson Jinx. All right, so we make a bet. Does Dream Team win?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes,
They win
Dream
gold.
Team win goals.
I tell you what's interesting
Hand it
though,
right now.
You have so many great athletes. You know, you had Giannis in Greece. You know, we have more and more Wemby. Is Wemby
Yeah.
on the French team? It's got to be, right?
I don't know.
More and more great. Basketball is by far the most international sport that's come out of the U.S.
Hey, let me ask you this. So just to pivot on the Olympics, would France spend $9 billion, $10 billion on
Oh,
this?
a disaster,
Some-
right?
So, like, yeah, how do you think this will work out? I mean, it's rare that a city or a country, you know, actually makes economic development off Olympics.
Why was it a
happens, but
disaster
lot
that
of
they
times
spend
it's
that
a
much
bit of
money?
a
You know
mess.
what? We have this rise of fear in the world, and some of the fear is justified, right? President Trump almost was assassinated, this close to maybe civil war in our country if that bullet hit him by some, you know, weirdo. And so the amount of security in Paris right now is so extreme that people can't get to the cafes, they can't get to the stores. And so commerce in an event usually brings people to town and everyone's spending money because they're on vacation. Commerce is down, not up. We looked at hotels. You can get hotels for nothing right now. in Paris.
Wow, really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Delta said they're having
Coming
a
to
terrible,
Paris.
a terrible, summer.
A terrible
because-
week
What?
after the crowd strike.
Oh, yeah.
They're getting investigated.
Yeah.
Now the Olympics.
But
yeah.
they lost a lot of business because people weren't flying to Paris.
Right.
And so we got to somehow figure out.
So
how
wait,
not
you
to
think
have
that's
so
all
much,
because of security?
Oh, I look at the pictures. There's chain link fences all over Paris, and even we got tickets to some events. If you have the ticket, you can get into that space, not just the event, that part of the town.
Yeah.
Or if you're staying at the the George V, the George Sunk Hotel, you can get into that part of town. But if not, you can't get there.
Yeah.
Wow.
You know, it's kind of crazy because, of course, like, we need security. People want to feel safe. But the amount of money and mental energy and the effects of that, right, are really crazy because, like, 20 years ago, you go into the Olympics, you could go here, there. I mean, we've been to many Olympics,
Yeah.
and it just gets more and more restricted. It squeezes the fun out of it more, squeezes the economics out of it more, and it's like there's got to be some sort of like.
But it's also a
counterback the other way.
crazier time now than it was back then,
It's
right?
really
like,
not, though.
yeah, I feel like it is. A lot more crazy shit happens.
Well, Paris
like
has
now.
this. Paris has this. I mean, there's this tension in the world between immigrants and domestic. That Paris let in a lot of North African immigrants, mostly Muslim. They lived in bad neighborhoods or neighborhoods that haven't gotten better, and so there's this tension boiling over. Right, Le Pen's the right-wing party almost won that election, and you're seeing that all over Europe. It's so interesting. We talk about immigration a lot. Countries need to figure out a good immigration policy to succeed. With falling birth rates, you need people. But when you take too many immigrants in too fast and they don't integrate, it becomes a time bomb. And in lots of places, we have it on our own border, but all over Europe, you've got these time bombs.
So what do you think the time bomb is with us, and can we stop it? Especially New York City, because we have the right to shelter, and we're filled with illegal immigrants that's coming in by the dozens.
I want to just say, New York City has a history of, like immigrants being worked into the system, right?
No,
like,
I'm one.
More than anywhere probably on earth in a
Yeah.
sense. And so there's certainly a limit to Mike's point, but I mean, New York City's pretty resilient in that regard.
Yeah,
I mean,
but
we're nowhere
now-
near-
This is
wait, hold on.
this is the egg going through the snake.
Yeah.
It's going to get through the snake, and we're going to be fine. We're going to go right back to the kind of place that welcomes immigrants, that integrates them, that gets them jobs.
So you don't think there's a ticking time bomb with New York?
No, there was just
No.
a surge that we need to process through the system.
Yeah.
These young Venezuelans that are here from this migration, they will find jobs. They will be productive
Yeah.
citizens.
You know
Give
what
them
else
some time.
is interesting about the United States, right? Everybody learns English in the United States, right?
Yeah.
When you come here, our history is you assimilate in a way, right? We respect culture, but at the same time, you're speaking English, you're kind of, adopting the customs, right? Europe's different than that, right? What's going on there is these immigration groups, right, are clinging to their language, their dress, so it creates more tension in that system. It's not a right-wrong thing, but U.S. has a giant history of just like assimilating and making them part of the American story, and they don't have that in Europe. It's very different.
Really?
The first essay that, at least when I was a kid, you wrote in social studies was, "Is America a melting pot or a salad bowl?" And I thought about this a lot recently. We start off as a salad bowl, and by second generation, certainly third generation, you're a melting pot.
Yeah,
right?
It's like 3-day-old salad.
Yeah.
Like all the stuff's together.
Your
It's just one.
your uniqueness, right? My dad was so German, and I'm not German at all. I can sing a few German songs, and my kids barely know the songs, right? And so, right, you're really Jamaican. You like jerk chicken. You like all
I'm not
your...
fucking Jamaican. I'm from Trinidad.
Why does he always call you Jamaican?
The islands. I mix all the islands up.
Yo, man,
is
this
literally
guy's
crazy.
completely out of control. Talk to you every day.
Trinidadian.
We went to my country.
It's a harder. We went to Tobago. It's a harder word, Trinidadian, than Jamaican.
This is fucking crazy. I don't know what to say.
So you and
But right,
Kamala are from the same country?
but
Wait, Kamala's Jamaican?
Partly.
I don't know who I'm casting my vote for yet, but I actually do want to ask y'all something. Trump wins. What does America look like? What does America look like financially, culturally? Does he deport all the immigrants like he says he's gonna do? Kamala, she wins. What does that look like? question is, does she have a real chance of actually winning? She historically raised more money in one day than any candidate ever. She's 3 days, it feels like she went from I never heard her voice before to this strong voice, but it's only been 3 days, right? So I want to hear your perspective, and then I want you to be quiet, and then I want to hear Dave's perspective.
I'm going to frame something simple for Dave because Dave might have an interesting read on this. Your question's really a complicated one because we haven't seen Kamala in 3.5 years. She was the vice president that was put in the closet. And her job before that, she was a senator from the most liberal state in the country, and she had a very liberal voting record. But being a liberal senator from California is different than being a president. So we don't know, is she going to become a president and read the room of the country, read the room of the party, and move to the center, right? If she does that, we'll have a whole set of policies. She's only been there 3 days, so we don't know what her policies are going to be. Trump, on the other hand, is such a strange and transactional and mercurial guy, right? In his first term, he had less H-1B visas than any president. He was like, don't let any foreigners in. He just said on the All In podcast, if he's elected, anyone who goes to college should get a green card, i.e. an H-1B visa. And so, and it's not like that he just said that he might not do it. He might do that. And so same guy could have completely different policies because he changed his mind. And so we don't know what Trump's policies are going to be. Broadly, he is going to be for less regulation, good for business, right? He's going to be a pro-crypto president. He said that he's giving a speech tomorrow that's going to be very pro-crypto. Great for my industry. He said he's going to, deport 20 million immigrants. I don't think he will, but we'll see. I mean, if he puts Stephen Miller as the head of the Homeland Security. And so a lot of these, both of these, is we're not really going to know until they're in the seat. Partly because we haven't seen how Kamala would govern, and partly because Trump is such a mercurial guy.
So with the information you have right now, it just sounds like you said Trump might be better for you.
Oh, for my personal finances, Trump would be spectacularly better, right? He's going to keep taxes low, and he's going to boost my industry.
So are you voting for Trump?
I am not going to vote for Trump. I don't want a guy who said he's going to deport 20 million immigrants. We're going to have people hiding in basements. And so, sometimes you vote that's not necessarily in your economic. I still got a pretty nice house here in the Hamptons. They're not going to take it away.
So wait, so I guess to answer the question, you don't know what America would look like with Kamala. It's too soon to tell, and you do have an idea what it would look like with Trump.
But I give that caveat. You think you know what Trump, but he often, everyone says the last person who was in his ear can change his mind, and he's transactional and he's intuitive. Sometimes he's really angry. Sometimes he is a very unpredictable man.
Dave, what's your insight on my same question?
I'm going to frame it. Like this a little bit. I think in all the recency bias, kind of euphoria or all this craziness that's been going on, I think we need to step back and look at both of their histories. Right? It doesn't necessarily mean you can tell everything from history, but Kamala to me is interesting in that she was a prosecutor. She was a DA, right? That's where she comes from. As a candidate, she's smart, she's a good debater, and she's able to counterpunch very well, right? And so being a DA, being a prosecutor is a very different thing than being a president, an executive, right? Being a senator is somewhere in between those two things, right? You're legislating, you're working with other people. It's neither fish nor fowl in a sense, right? And I think that what I've seen with her, just to address that for 1 second, is that she kind of was very comfortable in a prosecutor role, very comfortable arguing and enforcing or kind of along rails that she knows what she's doing. I think that as a senator, she was in there for a very short period of time. I would consider her career non-remarkable just because she was there not very long. I think the difference as a candidate for president is you need vision and you need leadership, and it remains to be seen if Kamala has that aspect to her, right? So she is not good she's very good in a debate when she wants to take down policies about Trump. She's not good when you put her on a stage and you say, what's the meaning of democracy? How do you see freedom? And, something broad, right?
Yeah.
She's much better in a narrow lane. And so I think there's both a tactical aspect to that in terms of she'll be good in some situations, not in others, right? And also, will that translate into leadership? Can she think through vision for this country, which is really what we are asking out of our presidents, as imperfect as they are, right? I think Trump is a very different animal than that. Trump is, he is a visionary, right? I mean, we're not going to go into his personal, psychology and things like that, but he's very comfortable leading with, I think we should do this. As to Mike's point, he changes his mind, right? Which is not necessarily a bad thing. But what's so compelling about Trump and what everybody's plugged into is this ability to step up there and say, we're going to do this. I believe in this, follow me, right? And he's got that. I've never seen that from Kamala, right? We haven't had that opportunity. And then to your point, you sit in as vice president.
Yeah, it's a terrible job.
It's a terrible job. You sit there for 3.5 years, like on a couch, and they tell you, like, go show up to this thing, right? So there's not a way to define yourself. So if I go beyond that, look, she was a prosecutor. You'd think she was be for law and order, but ironically, since she has been done with that, she's kind of run from law and order. Actually,
Wait,
it's
listen,
1 second. And
you're 5.5 minutes.
you want to put our time up together?
Bring in the time.
You wanna put our
Who's
time
longer?
together?
Who's longer?
So,
I mean, I just don't know much
Yeah, I was
about
gonna
her,
say
me
about Trump,
personally.
though. I was
and
gonna
I do
agree-
agree
yeah.
with you on the Trump thing, regardless of what you want to say. He's like, not with you, but I'm just saying people in general.
Yeah.
He has his vision.
Yeah.
He's
gonna say-
leading you in his vision, whether he changes his mind or not.
Yeah.
And we're just, I don't know Kamala
Yeah.
well enough to,
I'm going to say a final thing about it, which is just to translate it one more level on that, is like, we don't know which Kamala will show up. Will it be this law and order centrist, or will it be this California senator
Liberal.
that is trying to, in a non-authentic way, kind of run to the left for what she thinks that she needs to say for this to work out?
I have spent a lot of time in the last 3 weeks with politicians, and there are some I meet that are so authentic they know who they are, and there's some that just read the room and say what the room wants to hear. And so I think your point is a really good one. We're going to know who Kamala Harris is or how she's going to run in the next 8 weeks.
Right.
And I said, literally on CNBC 2 days ago, I'm going to withhold judgment until I see that 8 weeks. If she moves to the center, if she reads the room, if she leads, I think she'll win the election. Because I think America wants decency. They want someone in the center. They want someone younger. There's a poll recently, 83% of Americans do not want old politicians. Think anyone over 80 shouldn't be able to run. 83% of the country, it's one of the few things we agree on as a country. The only thing higher than that was, should we tip at sit-down restaurants? That was 84%.
Really?
Literally. They had, what do Americans agree on? We don't agree on that much. We agree that old people shouldn't run the country. And so Trump's got that going against him. The other thing that I think...
but that's...
Let me finish. The other thing I think we need to talk about is 41 of the 45 cabinet members of Trump's first term will not endorse him. And so if I started a new hedge fund and I asked all my old employees to join and they said, no way, would you invest in it?
But I'm going to buzz that.
Let me just finish.
Right.
I mean, I think that is, when I speak to the four-star general, they worry about his moral character. And so part of the country doesn't care because they care about leadership and they care about policy. And part of the country cares a lot about moral character. And so that's why we're still going to have a very close election, right? We're going to go to bed on election night, and we're going to be like, if you're on the left, you're going to be praying. If you're on the right, you're going to be praying. And it's going to be 5 states and 200,000 votes. But it's really why I think if I really worked hard to have Biden step down and have a more open, transparent mini primary to get somebody that I thought would be an easy, Mark Kelly or a Gretchen Whitmer, someone really Midwestern in the middle, because I thought America would run to them. I really believe our country wants to be in the center, and we're not.
Here's the difference with Trump, right? Like, and the age thing that you're saying. Like, we are 20 years apart, our friendship, all of us, right? But we just literally Other than you look 72 on the AI thing, but
18.
but again, your spirit, I never, even when people tell me your age at times, I'm like, what? No, Mike is, and I'm like, oh shit, yeah, maybe Mike is 72.
You're like, I know Mike's like 7 years
but
old.
no, let me finish. The thing with Trump is, how old is Trump?
78.
78.
As old as Biden.
How old is Biden?
82.
Biden and Trump, let me ask you, Trump does not feel anywhere close to that age.
But
Biden, you felt it.
Trump feels about the same age Biden did 4 years ago.
No, he
4
does
years
not.
ago. Listen,
No, he
Mel,
does
he
not.
fell asleep at the Republican
But guys,
convention.
can
He
we-
lit-
Mike.
But
in the middle of the convention,
Mike,
he fell asleep.
Mike,
he
Mike,
fell
Mike,
asleep.
Mike.
He fell asleep
Okay.
in his court.
Let me
constantly.
tell you.
He's an old guy.
Young black people do not look at Trump as a 80-year-old. Let me ask your opinion on that. What do you feel? Does
I
Trump?
think he's a viral, vital guy.
Exactly.
So it doesn't stick with him.
It
It doesn't
exactly.
stick.
Yeah, that I agree
and
with.
it sticks with Biden.
That
and
I
that's
agree.
why he's
Sticks with
out.
Biden.
That I agree with.
But we don't need to discuss that. Everybody knows
But it
this.
doesn't mean he's not old. It's harder. Like, they had a debate. Neither of them had ever used ChatGPT. Neither of them talked about AI. The single most important thing facing our
I
country.
know 30-year-olds that never use ChatGPT.
But they're not running for president. They're not running for president. You can't be running for president and not understand AI. That's insane.
It didn't
knows
say
if Kamala
understand AI.
understands
No.
Who knows if Kamala
I,
understands
well,
AI?
we're going to find out soon.
So you only understand AI if you use ChatGPT?
You better use it, or some AI. You better sit with AI people. If you're not using AI once a week, there's no chance you understand.
On to the next, because
Well, I mean, again, I'm just saying, like, the why
you're
people
saying
want-
you can't X somebody out because they didn't use ChatGPT.
You can X someone out because they don't have the curiosity to learn about the most important technology.
Who
facing
says
the
they're
earth.
not using it in
Because they
some
had a
other way,
3-hour
shape, or
debate
form?
and they didn't mention one word about it, either candidate.
Well, I don't even understand why we're having this.
I'm just telling you. I'm telling people and younger people.
Yeah, okay, fair point, but we don't need to talk about like Trump using ChatGPT.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying,
Who knows
like-
if Kamala uses ChatGPT?
I don't know. That's what I have not endorsed Kamala. I said we're going to learn about
Ridiculous.
Kamala in the next 2 weeks. We know a lot about Trump.
Yeah, it's interesting because most times, right, we have this interminable election process and cycle.
This will be
where
fun because it'll be short.
It's going to be short. It's going to be very interesting because she's going to have 8 weeks, basically, right,
Yeah.
to define herself, right? It's been 4 years since we've seen Kamala Harris outside of just showing up and word salading at
100%.
VP events.
So I'm saying at
So
one
she's
point
gonna
I
have
forgot who she was in a
That's what
weird
I'm
way.
saying. So she's going to have a really big opportunity, but she's going to have to define herself quick, which is a plus and a minus. You know, it's going to be, we're going to know a lot more 6 weeks from now than we do
I 100%
today
agree.
in terms of where her policies are and where
I'm
her strengths are.
worried, not worried, but I think she's going to be really good at debating because of the
She
prosecutor
will be.
thing,
Of course she
shit
will.
like that. Like,
Very good.
I think she's going to. Anyway,
All right, we're
off
moving
that
off
for a
politics.
second.
Moving off politics.
The craziest thing happened today. I guess it was yesterday. El Mayo. You know who El Mayo is?
El Chapo's son.
No, what? He's
The other guy.
El Chapo's partner, who's been the leader of the Sinaloa cartel since the 70s. He was caught yesterday with El Chapo's son. Guess where?
Panama.
What?
I got no idea.
No, the U.S.
In the U.S., in Texas. Now, I was like, what the fuck were they doing in Texas? Why would they be in Texas? And Dave can give us the story because he just gave me the story and it blew my mind.
Yeah, I just read a quick thing about it, but they got these guys to get into a plane, said they were going to check out some covert Mexican airfields, near Juarez or whatever, and just, boop, hopped over the border with them. And
So they were
surrounded them.
special agents.
Special agents, basically, they worked a sting, got these guys into a PJ.
Crazy.
Said they were going to check out some Mexican airfields. That's the story I read. I didn't read about it in depth. And then they just popped it 20 miles over the border, and that's it. Yeah.
That's a long next 40 years in some maximum security prison.
And when you
Probably
think
in
about it, you're
Colorado.
just like, wait, that's how my reign ended? Somebody just tricked me? Like,
Probably break out again.
there's no breaking out of the U.S.
Yeah.
None.
What do we got to say about crypto these days?
So
It's been an
crypto is
interesting
fascinating.
ride. Yeah.
It is literally one of the most interesting times we've had in the space. And it's a lot because of President Trump. So,
Trump has been doing wonders for you.
I'm going to buy a new pool house pretty soon. Listen, Trump is a political animal and sensed that the Democrats have been horrible against crypto. The Democrats have been horrible against crypto. And he would try to take that lane, right? I've said this over and over. There are 80 million crypto owners. That's more people than own crypto than own dogs in America. And a lot of them are really passionate about it. And so let's say there are 5 to 15 million single issue voters. And Trump wanted them. And so he said, I'm the crypto president. I'm the crypto president. And tomorrow, he's actually going to Bitcoin Nashville, the big Bitcoin conference, 25,000 Bitcoin maniacs. And he's giving a big speech. And up until just a day or two ago, it looked like he was going to say, if he's president, the U.S. will buy 1 million Bitcoin on our strategic reserve, which would have made the price go wild. He's backed down from that a little bit. He's still going to give a very, very positive speech. RFK Jr. gave a really positive speech today. Cynthia Lummis gave a speech. Tim Scott, the black senator from South Carolina, gave a positive crypto speech. But there are 15 major politicians in Nashville for a Bitcoin conference. Yeah. And at the same time, Kamala Harris is saying, and the Democrats were already saying, we can't let the Republicans take crypto. So she's working on her response to distance herself from the Biden administration and be a much more pro-innovation candidate. So for my industry, I'm like, this is checkmate. We've got them both now wanting to, like, we were pariahs 4 years ago.
Yeah.
Literally pariahs.
Yep.
And now we're being courted as voters.
Yeah.
And that's the awesome thing about politics in America. If you organize and have a big enough constituency, people finally listen to you. And so there are going to be great things happening for crypto in the next 24 months.
Like politically, the bar has been risen dramatically in the last 3 months.
Your
right?
buddy, Steve Fulop, the mayor of, shout out Steve Fulop, mayor of Jersey City, a good friend of Dave's. He bought Bitcoin. He bought Bitcoin with the Jersey City pension.
Yeah,
money.
I saw that.
And I saw today, the state of Michigan did. And so you're seeing this now. Crypto is becoming an asset that pension funds are owning, that counties and states are buying. And so we have crossed the Rubicon as an industry. And so I tell my employees all the time, it's still going to be a lot of hard work, but that existential risk of us going out of business is gone. Now we could go out of business because we suck, but the ball's in our court.
I want to ask you a personal question.
No, I'm not going. No, I'm not going on a date with
you. Goldman Sachs guy, Fortress guy, known as one of the top. I'm gonna give you that because somebody legendary said it. Known as one of the top 10 greatest traders on Wall Street history. Went into this crazy crypto world, started Galaxy. All your finance friends, not all, but a lot of them was like, this guy is crazy. And now everyone is seeing that you're not crazy. It was a legend. How does that feel?
Don't go that far.
I'm going to give him credit where credit's due. I'm going to give it to him.
He's not crazy?
I mean, he is crazy, but for many other reasons. But at one point, you were legit like, yo, this guy's crazy. He's going to start a crypto company?
You know, Dave might understand this answer because I was with Nate Parker last week and we were talking about it. I was really surprised. You know, we came out and started a pact to have Biden step down because I just thought he was too old. And,
yeah, I know. It leaked on Twitter.
And it was public. And, you know, and I spoke to a lot of other people and they didn't want it to be public. And I never even thought of it. And they were really fearful of recrimination from either Trump or Biden or just didn't want to be public. And I just sensed a lot of fear in people. And, you know, I always say courage is action in the face of fear. And someone said, oh, you were so courageous. And I was like, I wasn't courageous at all. I just wasn't scared. And I think the same thing with crypto. I did it because I thought it was cool. I didn't think about being scared or not. And I think my education as a wrestler, Dave's education as a wrestler, you learn not to be scared. And it's not like a bravado thing. It just isn't there. I just wasn't scared. I was like, what are they going to do? Like beat me up or, you know, cancel me? Or
But at one point when everybody or, you know, so many of your peers was just, because, you know, that gets to me too. And it gets to you because you like to be liked. And not Dave so much. Dave don't give a fuck.
It didn't.
But
I thought it was right. But I'm telling you, it didn't.
But it didn't at all?
It did not. It did not. I thought, yeah, maybe I am a wacko, but it's interesting. It's fun. I liked it. I think it's going to work. I always didn't think there was listen, has it gone farther today than I thought it would have 10 years ago? Of course it has. Like, no one predicts the future. You predict a direction. I thought this was an interesting technology. Now, to be fair, I also thought we would be using blockchains for tickets and blockchains for all kinds of things that we're still not. So part of the industry has been much slower to grow than I thought it would be. And the adoption of Bitcoin as a store of value and the mindset that crypto is here to stay has been faster, right? Like the technology is there, but it's hard to disrupt Ticketmaster. It's hard to disrupt Uber.
Yeah.
Like we don't have decentralized social, right? There's 18 attempts to try to decentralize Facebook and Twitter. None of them have worked. And so the decentralized revolution, i.e. the crypto revolution, it's still on second base, maybe not even second base.
Yeah.
But Bitcoin, the Bitcoin story, it's hit the home run.
Yeah. Bitcoin's really, truly amazing when you reflect on it, right? Like whatever, 10 years, that it was attacking a single problem, really, right?
Yes.
I mean, more than anything else was the supply of the money system, and that it got criticized during the crypto hype, a few years ago, right? It was a dumb system. Ethereum was smarter. Solana was, altcoins, everything went away from it. It just plugged along. And it kind of is just amazing to me that it holds this space still of being a better product than gold, really, if you think through it, and a scarce product, and really the only scarce digital product on earth with the brand that's been established at this point in time. It's amazing.
Period, exclamation point. I tell Bitcoin maniacs all the time who want to say we should use Bitcoin for, ordinals or, use the Bitcoin blockchain and build level. I was like, guys, leave it alone. It has a very purpose-driven use case. And the value comes from the narrative. The value comes from the social construct that I think it's digital gold and you think it's digital gold, therefore it's digital gold. Don't mess with my narrative. I'm one of the 400,000 people that tried to help create that narrative, and I've done it more on TV than anybody else. I was like, leave it alone. All those other things, Solana, which are wonderful projects, Ethereum, they have other use cases, other narratives. So but again, you can't tell people what to think, but I try to, because I think, because Bitcoin really is, and I don't know if Satoshi could have foreseen how crazy populist governments have gotten.
Right.
But around the world, the spending of money just is literally like a disease.
Yeah.
And so governments can't keep their pants on. They just keep spending and spending.
Yeah.
And therefore Bitcoin is.
You catching his point with Bitcoin? It's really interesting, which is that as Bitcoin's had to compete with with the Pepsi and the RC Cola and the Dr. Pepper, right? It's the Coke, right? In a way, right? People have tried to change the narrative that, well, it's not just Coke, it's also Pepsi and it's also RC. And Mike's point there is no, just stick with this is Coca-Cola, right? It does one thing, it's about digital gold, it's scarcity, it's value, and don't try to build these pieces on it, because it is really interesting. If you start to squander that narrative and don't know who you are anymore, people get confused, and then it loses its whole identity.
Yes.
Right? In a sense. And that's a really smart point, and I haven't heard it quite that succinctly defined before. But it's interesting.
Yo, you know what we're gonna do?
What?
I just thought about this. We have to.
We're going to buy a Bitcoin balloon.
That too.
What?
So we are going to Rwanda.
Yep.
You and I, we're going to Rwanda. Then we're going to Nigeria, the three of us. And then we're going to the Ivory Coast with DeVito is going to host us in Nigeria.
Man, I'm so excited for that.
Can't really say Rwanda, whatever. We are going to host a business Untitled in fucking Nigeria. We just have to do it. DeVito's going to find someone. He's going to co-host with us.
Lagos.
And you're hearing it first here. We are going to host a business Untitled in Nigeria.
Amazing.
We just have to. We're going to find somebody. We're going to do it.
Or a few people.
Or a few people and do a couple of them. That's going to be dope. I'm excited about this trip. You've been to Rwanda, right?
I've been to Rwanda. You guys are going to love Rwanda. The gorillas are just awesome to see these things up close. Both intimidating and just awe-inspiring.
Have you been to Nigeria?
I've never been to Nigeria. That's
You,
where I'm
Dave?
going.
I've never been to Nigeria.
Oh, wow.
No, it's on my bucket list. It's number one where I want to
Really?
go. Yeah, really.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Well, we got the best host
Shout
ever.
out Genevieve Naji, a good friend of mine who's used to be the top actress in Nigeria. So between Davido and Genevieve, we're we're well done in in the celebrity zone.
We're gonna be great.
And what about the Ivory Coast? What do you know about
My
that?
sister, her first country she visited in Africa was the Ivory Coast, and she was poisoned. It's in her book, The Blue Sweater. I've never been there. It's now called Côte d'Ivoire. That's the French name. I know that. The capital, Abidjan. My son Nacho used to know all the capitals to every country in the world, and
True.
so I actually know all the capitals in Africa.
Yeah. Ivory Coast, I hear, has good food. Formerly French.
Oh, really?
Formerly
Yeah.
French, yeah.
Near Ghana, right? It's one. I think it's one country away from
I
Ghana.
didn't
It's
know that.
francophone. It's French speaking.
Yeah, but it's French speaking, not English speaking. But it's just the next country over because we were in Ghana together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shout out to Stephen Manicharan for putting this whole thing together.
Amazing.
It's gonna be
All right.
epic. What else?
Coming in for 4 days, and I'm coming out. But
Mel. Yeah.
I wish I had more time. I mean, it's gonna be an awesome trip. All right, what do we got? What do you got?
What's going on with you? What's up with music these days?
Music is good, man. I signed 3 new acts. I just came from the Warner Summit. Shout out to Aaron, Tom, Karen Kwok, and everybody at that team. It was a good summit. A lot of new exciting things happening with Warner. Signed 3 new acts. I'm really excited about them. And music is just in a good place. Like, a better question is what's going on with TikTok? Because TikTok could actually change the entire music industry if TikTok just goes away. Boom.
So it's interesting. I sat this week with Frank McCourt. Frank McCourt used to own the Dodgers, very wealthy family, sold the Dodgers for a lot of money, and he has been behind the people's bid for TikTok, right? So ByteDance, big Chinese conglomerate, that's over 50% owned by Americans, has to sell the U.S. version of TikTok.
Mm-hmm.
And in all likelihood, they will sell it without the algorithm that drives. So they'll have to build their own algorithm in. So you're really selling that, whatever, 160 million people connected.
Wait, who has to sell it?
ByteDance does. The government passed a law because post the Israeli attack, the Hamas attack on Israel, people started looking at how fast the conversation on TikTok was changing to be anti-Israeli and pro-Hamas. And then they said, wait a minute, in 2 days, 35 times more, pro-Hamas content than, let's say, some of the other social media platforms. And so they were like, whoa, these guys can unbelievably effectively change how our kids think about the world. And it wasn't just about Israel-Palestine, it was about any issue. And so a group of people took the data and went to D.C.
So they factually did that.
They went to D.C. and they went to senators, both on the left and the right, and congressmen on the left and the right. And originally it looked like it wouldn't pass because, Trump was like, I don't want to. Trump was kind of against it first. The Republicans were like, well, let's not force a company to sell something. We should make a rule for all the companies. And there was a lot of debate. But as people saw the data, Speaker Johnson, right, was the one who finally said, this is crazy. This is a national security threat. And so it is without doubt a national security threat. And so it will be sold. People are waiting for the election because they're thinking, well, maybe there's a hope that Trump gets in. People can lobby him and he'll be nice to his buddies, right? And so, because there's big owners of it, right? Susquehanna, Jeff Yass owns a huge amount. Cotu, Philippe Lafon's hedge fund owns a huge amount. And, this was one of those valuable assets on earth, and it will be sold for not very much to the U.S. And so who will buy it? I'm sure there'll be tons of people swarming about it. But I was talking to this one guy who's trying to put a people's bid together and make it a decentralized social media. So he was talking to the crypto people. Don't know if it'll work. Don't know if he'd be the one who's got the highest bid. But that is all going to play out, I would say, between after the election and probably before the new president takes. That November 7th to January 20th, that is when you're going to see.
So them selling it, what does that look like?
Who knows? I don't know. It's a new company takes over TikTok. Maybe it's Facebook. Maybe it's Instagram. Maybe it's a new company. Maybe it's, Jared Kushner said it. He's raising money to try to take it over.
We should buy TikTok.
We're not rich enough.
I would say There's no way Meta's taking over TikTok.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
No, they would never.
But again, like I don't have the.
Why would you say there's no way?
They're already
Antitrust.
They're already the hugest platform. You can put Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, WhatsApp all together.
It's one thing. I tell you what. JD Vance is a colorful character, if anything. But he is very, which is interesting because he's on the Republican ticket. He is very against these big tech companies. He wants to break them up. They have too much power. They're too big. So it's a very interesting pick on the Republican side, right? He's a complicated guy, but in this case, he wants smaller tech companies, not bigger ones.
Which I think we agree with, and we've talked about here, right? Like something's got to be done about those Magnificent Seven. The 3 or 4 major platforms.
In an AI, it's again, I'm not an AI expert, but I've spent a ton of my time in it, and talking to the smartest people, it's hard for them to see anyone else competing than those 4.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's just the resource that it takes.
What's going on with Mel's favorite bar tonight? Talk House.
I tell you what.
I was about to say I hate that place, but I don't. I love and respect what the Talk House
Talk House
is.
is the greatest bar in America.
No. Listen.
On Sunday night.
Yo, he's just like.
You're fucking bad mouthing the podcast. I will throw you out of my house.
If you literally just shut up for a second, you would have heard me say, I love and respect what the Talk House is.
But I don't like it.
It's just too young of a crowd for me.
Man, you're getting old.
Yeah, it's kids there. It's shout out to the Talk House.
I
It's
like
just
being out in the Hamptons.
too young for me.
It's just like
you know what spot I like though?
Huh?
Where we went to last week, Rosie's. Yeah, I like that spot. That's pretty cool.
But I like the vibe, the relaxed vibe.
Yeah.
Here.
Sunday night, Terrence Simeon, our friend who played in my backyard in New Orleans, the Zydeco, 2 Grammy Awards. Terrence Simeon.
Where is he at the Talk House?
Playing at the Talk House Sunday night.
All right, Talk House it is then.
All right.
All right.
Well, let's wrap it up.
Let's wrap it up. What's your ounce of gold, Mel? And let's get us some followers.
Follow, like, subscribe. This is just a quick warm up to us being back. We are back in full effect.
In September.
What?
No. In Legos.
Yo, he just cannot stop interrupting. It's like if you even talk for 60 seconds straight, he just. But we are back and we're excited. And we're live from the Hamptons till it's winter again. Peace.